Participants.
How many?
8.
Online? Okay, good.
No,
Bring those in.
announced me too.
Okay,
I really
fair
am.
enough. I see Augie's here. Look, she has beautiful. I have one of he's shitting in the water. I should have brought that one. That's hilarious. So cute. What a great marketing ploy.
Who is it?
Dawn Moore. Now she could be the one from Monroe. Yeah.
Susan Scherer.
Susan something is the one from Monroe. Right. Okay, we ready to go?
No, I'm trying to get everybody.
On this one?
Is everybody showing?
No, just 2 people.
How do I do this one?
Do you need help? Can you help him?
What do you do?
He wants to let people in from the waiting room.
No, I've let the people in. I'm just trying to get them all visible here. Some of them, many of them are on a phone
Oh.
or they're not sharing their video and then we can't see them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But their name would be there with a.
here we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you want to make me co.
There we go.
They can
You
help.
want to make him co? Can they see us?
Yeah. As long as you're up there.
Mhm.
Do you? These need a third one.
All right. I'm co.
Okay. You're co. Okay, great.
Yeah, so it
We all
has
set,
to
John?
be Joshua.
Okay.
On the-
All right, let's put the recordings on. We're going to start the meeting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David McFadden. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, August 17th, 2022. This meeting is called to order. Let's rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor McFadden,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shaw. Present. Trustee Brooke,
Present.
Trustee Casker,
Present.
Trustee Scherer. All present and accounted for.
Okay,
The dreadful pens, I'm sorry.
all right, so we had a public hearing scheduled for today on sidewalks and streets, but we missed the deadline of notifying the paper. So I'm going to simply push that off, table it until next meeting without objection. So,
It would be good, just, I would do a resolution to schedule that with the date and time, and this way.
right, like I have on the agenda.
Kind of like that.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees reschedule the public hearing on draft local law number 6 of 2022, amendment to chapter 83 for streets and sidewalks, utility poles for September 21st, 2022 at 7 PM at the Village Hall. Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to skip mayor's comments because we lost a few minutes in the beginning. Let's go to reports and minutes. Jeff, would you like to give a DPW report?
Sure. We had installed some new signs that the chief had purchased, I guess. Westlake Road, Westlake Stable Road, Pine Road, and Ridge Road. We reset some bollards by the post office that protect the fire hydrants. You know, it's been hit a few times and it was all just loose in the ground, so we re-cemented it in the ground.
Are you the one that took out the HEM from Chase Bank?
Oh,
You?
not me.
Okay, you guys didn't do that?
No, that's convenience for me.
All right.
Was.
Everything was gone?
Yeah. I got a picture. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We constructed a few additional bike racks, and so now there's one at the beach, there's one here at the village office, there's one at the village boat club, and one at the racetrack.
They're beautiful, thank you.
Okay, and we built some more mailbox stands. We installed them on 2 on Clubhouse Road, 1 on Westlake Road by Jim Jospies, and 1, I forget what the other one.
Yeah, just, they all look great. Thank you.
I think we have 2 left to do.
2 left, that would be East Stable Road.
East Lake Stable.
East Lake Stable Road.
On Circuit.
Uh-huh. Okay.
installed some new lights at the regulator building downtown. We also installed a pressure sensor on the 6-inch main that goes through the regulator that John has been speaking to the engineers about. We did some blacktopping, gutter on Ridge Road, patched the berm on Circuit Road. We weed-whacked the dam embankment, so Weewa and Pond 3. Did some cleanup around the shop, removed the old tarp off the sand pile, did some cleanup around the building. We removed some large boulders from the triangle up by Turtle Mountain Road. We had a fallen tree on Laurelord Road. We also pulled out old equipment that's not used anymore that John took pictures of and put on the Auctions International. And we removed some dead ash trees down by the South Gate. Also repaired a 1.5-inch brass water main on Continental Road that runs through the Spangler's yard. That's basically about it.
Great, thank you very much. Things are looking good. We appreciate it. Let's see, Chief, how about a report from you?
So we had 313 calls for service, one arrest, which was a vehicle and traffic arrest, one property damage accident, issued 9 traffic tickets, 8 warnings, and we responded to 12 fires, which includes the fire alarm. 1 medical alarm, we had 1 medical call. We assisted the town police 3 times. We did not need any assist by them. Total 3,300 miles. Approximate count of vehicles coming into the park on a daily basis was 615. All of our officers attended CPR AED training that was given by Tuxedo Ambulance Corps, and we purchased a defibrillator. So now we have that and also some other medical equipment. So we are provide a lot more and better service to residents.
Right, yep, that was posted on the website, thank you.
And we also conducted training at Tuxedo Park School,
What type of training?
active shooter training.
Fantastic, how did it go?
It was very well.
Okay, good, I'm glad to hear that. Any reports on the automatic gate system?
Everything's working good.
We did have that one little setback. Remember, it was slow, so they came out and adjusted it for us.
Yes, I'm sorry. So yes, there were some cars that it was not picking up for. I went out to the camera and I looked at it and it didn't look right. So I started moving it and it just moved very, very easily. If the wind blew, it could have moved the camera. And I think that happened when the vehicle backed into it that time. So they immediately came out, they secured it, everything's good now.
Terrific.
It's running smooth.
Any questions? All right, Jim, and do you mind using the podium? So, because the voice needs to get into the recording. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and please stop me if I go over the minute you've allowed me.
We're gonna give you 3, Jim.
I would just wanted to speak a little bit about the inventory of greenhouse gases that we have done. There are really 2 kinds of data in this report. There's hard data, which I think is quite accurate for the village, for the Tuxedo Park School, and for the club. We actually have invoices for fuel burn for vehicles. We have invoices for fuel burn to heat buildings, run pumps, and electricity use. And we also have rather hard data on garbage removal. We know tons of garbage removed from Sterling Carting, and we know the distance that was carried out into central Pennsylvania. We know the nature of the site where it is placed. It actually is quite a modern site, and so we know the kinds of emissions from that source, and so that's all good. The weakness is that we have weakness in terms of residential traffic. it's hard to estimate that. And this is not just cars moving around the village by village residents. It includes deliveries coming in. It includes the villagers commuting to various places and doing these kinds of things. That's hard to do. And the other is, we did it, but we did it by downsizing the state inventories based on population to the village. The same was true for residential heating. We never got any information from SOS in spite of the letter that the mayor sent, but we did a similar thing using statewide averages and downscaling them based on population. That works, it's allowed, but I'd say it's probably not more than plus or minus 20% accurate. I think I won't go into it now, but there are ways we can do a better job in the future. The gate will help a lot in terms of traffic because we can not only count the cars, but we also can identify what kinds of cars and trucks are coming in and out. So we can do a survey over a certain time. And I've already contacted somebody from the Hudson Valley who knows something about how you do these surveys.
Mhm.
So we'll use that data and we may want to do some, send out a flyer requesting people what kind of commutes they do and so forth, but we can do that. I want to acknowledge the help of Skylar Newhouser. He basically handled the club and the school data, and he was a great help in terms of the graphics. I want to thank Trustee Scher for loosening up data, which seemed to be a little bit slow in coming, but he accomplished that with ease. And so the next step is the climate action plan, which I want to work on with John Ledwith. I've asked the mayor and I've asked John if John would be willing to serve on our committee. And the mayor has said that would be okay. So I will add John to the task force. And I want to thank Jeff Voss and Chief Conklin for the data that they provided. So that's all I have. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And in that respect, I'd like to say we need more help from the village. And the kind of help we need are people who are actually willing to put in some time between meetings. This is not a job for just coming to meetings and that's it. And we have to do a lot of work in between meetings, but it's a very worthwhile cause. We are the first community in Orange County to do this inventory. So, and it's the kind of baseline information that you need to determine your reduction of greenhouse gases. And so I want to maintain our position as first in the county, but I'm going to need some help. Thank you.
Jim, I have a question. Do you have any idea how many electric cars or hybrids we have in the village?
No, but the chief probably knows.
So that's something we
The
can
chief
find
knows.
out.
I don't know.
And if you want to write something up, I'll put it on the website, seeking volunteers.
Okay.
Now, is this also in conjunction with the town?
Yes, we meet jointly with the town the first Monday of the month.
Okay,
And they're doing their thing, we're doing ours, but we're trying to help each other in any way we can. I
Mhm,
will help them with their inventory because I've done one now and I know how to do it.
mhm.
And there is a learning curve to this. And I can help them with that. And they'll help us too. So
Terrific.
we're helping each other, but we are separate committees.
Okay,
separate tasks.
welcome back from your trip. Okay, so John, I know you have a series of things you'd like to discuss.
Sure. First, we have my monthly report. Things are going fairly well. We had one CVO request for the Hickey House at 7 Ridge Road. We have 3 matters before the village justice. 2 of them are on the docket tomorrow evening. The third one, Adam Farmery, went to the Board of Zoning Appeals on August 3rd, and he's going to try to obtain a variance for the violation that he created upon himself. The Pays and Rifkin projects are going fairly well. Did a plumbing inspection at Rifkin yesterday. All is going pretty good. Nicholson, the pool is going well. The electrical bonding is completed. The concrete for the pool form and lining is all done. Tuxedo Club, I received updated plans from them the other day regarding their modification to their application a few months ago, where they're just going to be doing the work directly in front of the existing entranceway. I'll review that later this week.
And that means minus the proposed parking lot.
No parking lot change and no delivery access change.
You need to adjust your camera so that your face is.
No. Yeah, sure.
It's cut in half.
That's okay.
Okay.
Thompson's 57 Lookout Road, the BAR reviewed a pool and landscaping plan. Everything seems to be going well. The applicant needs to submit some samples of the finishing materials, including colors. And Shapiro on Summit Road, the bar reviewed color changes to the house and the outbuilding. That was approved on August 4th. As far as other items ongoing, working with Jeff Foss weekly to update the project list. Weewa Dam, we received the make and model of a device that we need to read these piezometers in order for Weston and Sampson to conduct their annual or their dam inspection. I discussed this earlier with David and Tinka. There's a device that's needed to read these sensors that are imprinted into the dam, and they read the water pressure and other things, I suspect. We think it's good that we have the device to read these meters. I'll read these devices. And instead of doing it every 2 years, we should probably do them every year to see if a problem develops in the short term instead of waiting every 2 years. The cost is approximately $1,500. I did ask the engineering company that did the work on the dam. They weren't willing to let us borrow theirs, and they were going to charge us $1,900 for them to come down and read the meters once. So it's unfortunate, but I think $1,500 is well spent. And as long as we have the equipment, we do it once a year to make sure we get ahead of any problems that may develop. Surplus equipment, we did, there were 17 items that I had placed on the Auction International website. The auction ended yesterday afternoon. All but 2 items were bid on, and provided everybody pays, we raised $2,264.
Well done.
This is all equipment that's not used in several years or not needed or broken combination. So we raised about $2,264 there, provided everybody that bid on it will pay
Thank you.
in advance. So it's good to get the money in the bank. It's also good to clean out the DPW area. VRI Environmental, maintain contact with them. Everything seems to be going fairly well. No large problems noted. We did order and give them several items that they requested a month or so ago to help them, do what they have to do.
Did they hand in their request to the Department of Health regarding the fact that they're taking over and now we'll be handling all of the forms and responding to everything moving forward?
Yes, I signed that about 3 weeks ago.
Great.
So they'll be submitting the reports. We already received one of the monthly reports early this week, and the sewer report comes in another week or so. So they seem to be on track. Jack Perna, which is a new construction considered on Lookout Stable Road. I sent the plans to Orange County Planning. The trustees probably do not know this, but there's a requirement at Orange County Planning. If there's any construction, any building permit that's submitted within a property boundary, and the Perna property borders the town property, we're required to send that site plan
In
to
case
Orange
there's a
County Planning.
secret or.
Correct. Subdivisions and a few other instances also trigger that.
Is that the Grace property?
No, this is Perna. This is the one that we issued, that we gave the road cut permit for.
Right.
That property does border the northeast section of the village.
Thank you.
Village and town border. Water meter installation on well accounts, working with Denise and Jeff Foss to schedule meter installs on those accounts that have wells in preparation for the sewer building at the end of September. I don't have an exact number, but I think Jeff's been to at least 5 accounts. John, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
I just want to add a note that this is in relationship to the new sewer fund,
Correct.
and people that have wells and use our sewer need to have a meter so that we can determine the billing for the sewer. Now, some of those people also do a lot of watering of their lawns. And we also offer something called a seasonal meter. So that because the water that goes into the ground by watering your property, we make a distinction from water that goes into your house for the dishwasher and the shower and other things, which is what you're charged for. So people can also request a seasonal meter. We take it out at the, after the season's over, but you don't have to worry about getting charged for water you're using to water your lawn. I just want to make that point.
There is one other note, which I had to explain the other day to a few people. In our sewer rate, we do not charge we do not charge any, well, we charge a minimum amount up to 8,500 gallons.
Right.
So if you did some minor watering outside or washed your car or did something outside, you're up to 8,500 gallons is already included. So if somebody just does a little bit of watering,
I
it's not like we're billing them for every.
Right, okay, thank you.
Every gallon, sorry. We received a filming request.
We can go into that, actually, it's in new business.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in new business, so we'll just delay that. I've got the Sunnymead. I've got the Cedar Roof. A comment if you want to make it on taxes this year. And then also discussing Paul's ideas about the applications of the tree law.
Want me to start with Sunny Mead?
It's up to you.
Sure. On August 1st, I went to the site with William Boyce, who was the landscape architect. We looked at the plans that were approved, and we identified that there were 4 trees that were removed that were scheduled to remain on the approved BAR plan. They were noted T7, T8, T9, and T11. Then I also met separately with Jim Wicks. He could not be there on August 1st. And he highlighted on the map that I gave him, the same one that William Boyce and I reviewed, that he removed T9, T10, T14, and T17. I'll give you a copy of this. Net, there were 5 trees removed that were scheduled to remain as part of the BAR plan.
Right, and were some of those approved by Wicks as being rotted or?
He claimed that he removed 4 that were dead. He identified 4, but on the approved plan, 2 of them were supposed to be remain and 2 of them were supposed to be removed.
Okay.
I should say that Ira Wicks was only there about a month after the BAR approved the plan. And I'm sure if these trees were dead at the night of the bar meeting, somebody would have said, well, it's dead anyway. So I don't know how much credence there is to if these trees were truly dead.
Okay, so why don't you and I present this information formally to the bar and see what they'd like to do? Okay, great. Please proceed.
Which one would you like?
You want to go on the roof for the lodge?
Yes, the roof down at the police station has been showing signs of failure slowly but surely over at least the last 3 years. I had put together with the chief, we had met a few people. And I was able to get a 3rd quote the other day, which I think I had sent out to.
I believe the prices were something like 50-something thousand, 90-something thousand, and 80-something
They
thousand.
vary between 54,800, 83,950, and 96.
Quite a spread.
So I'd like a little bit of time to review them and speak to the local.
I agree.
See if we missed something.
Yeah,
But I think this is something we seriously have to consider at the next meeting.
right.
We can look at the budget to see where we can
Mhm.
reallocate some money. But the roof is definitely showing signs of failure. There is some minor water damage in the police station, and it's not going to get any better.
Mhm.
The roof.
And it would be cedar shake, correct?
The goal has been for a long time that when we do replace this roof, we would make it match the other roofs at the entrance to the village. The
That'd be
roof,
sharp.
the roof is at least 30 years old. I do not remember it being changed, so it has gone its course. It's been leaking for approximately 3 years. It's causing some damage inside. And once again, we can meet and we can talk about where we can take some money from the budget to pay for this.
Okay. You want to make any comments about this year's taxes? And the reason I brought it up was because I've talked to a lot of people and I've asked if you've noticed that your taxes went down this year, and a lot of them are saying no. And we put some hard work into getting these things under control. So I thought maybe you would like to make a comment about that.
Certainly. This is probably the largest reduction that I ever recall, lowering the taxes in the village, approximately 6.58%. It was based upon a number of factors. First of all, not rehiring some employees that were found not to be needed at the time. Secondly, we did remove a number of budget items from the general fund to put them into the sewer. So there's a little more a fair allocation of who pays for the sewer. And third, we've been fairly successful with the assessments. And we also had, I believe, an 8-lot subdivision, 7 or 8, I forget now. I think there were 2 and now it's 9. So I think there was a 7 lots additional. Plus we bought them up to current market value. So a lot of little changes between the budget items,
Mhm.
but the big changes would be removing the sewer subdivision and also being fairly consistent with our assessments.
I think we have a tentative number for how we finished up the budget year. I believe it might have been something like $22,000 under budget. But we're still gonna, we have to verify that. We'll do that as soon as the annual audit comes in with our certified accountant. But could be some exciting news there too. All right, and then finally, Paul has expressed for a while now, giving you, the building inspector, the authority to make decisions on applications, in other words, building permits under $100,000, with the caveat that you could always, at any time, make a reference to the bar. So for example, if there was someone that applied to you to put stone down on a driveway, you're very familiar with the color palette of stones that are acceptable to the bar. And you could, and it could be $100,000 project, it could be a $90,000 project. So there's a case where you might do that. And again, there's always the option to go to the bar if you're not comfortable making a decision. And I was thinking, like you, that we break the ice today on this. You can give us your opinion in writing. And then we can also reach out for the bar, planning board, and BZA for their input. Is that sort of where you're at?
Yes, that's where I am at.
Is that okay for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, since this is the first time we've introduced it, currently property owners must come before the bar for all changes to house or property. This includes minor alterations, including house color, replacement of decks or storage sheds, as well as landscaping. All changes have to be submitted to the inspector, who determines if what is proposed is according to code, and if appropriate, then forward to the BAR for hearings. We maintain a process where all structural and other changes must go before the building inspector. And a rule addendum, I assume this is a rule change, not a legislative change. A rule addendum will be established that if the alteration or the improvement or the change is approved by the building inspector and does not exceed $100,000, it does not have to go before the BAR. And again, this would cover issues such as house color, landscape, minor construction. It would not cover stuff like fences, which are visible to the community. And those would be in discretion, the discretion. The goal here is to simplify the process of residents to improve their property, to provide more discretion for the building inspector, and to diminish the workload of the BAR. Okay, that was one resolution. Shall I touch on the second?
Yeah, let's discuss that as well.
Yeah, the second resolution is the current rule is a property owner is free to cut down any trees he or she owns with a diameter of under 8 inches. That's freebie. You can do that no matter what. If the diameter is 8 inches or more, there's an annual limit of 4 trees per annum. And when I heard some of the debates, and of course that excludes dying trees, damaged trees, rotted trees, or hemlocks. We maintain the limit of 4 trees per annum, but it's applied to the building lots. If the property owner has property that's 50% greater than the building lot requirement, it goes from 4 trees to 8. If it's 200% bigger than the building lot, it goes to 12. Additionally, if the property has changed hands in the last year, right, that allowance be provided either retroactively or prospectively. So the house next to me is being cleaned up. It hasn't been touched for, I don't know, 20 years. A lot of dead trees, a lot of stuff, but just to keep it simple, they're cleaning it up. And in that case, they can clean up all the damaged trees, but as they clear the property, this would permit the requirement to move forward or backward a year. So
Mhm.
we'd have enough ability to do it. And those are two rule changes I'm recommending the board consider.
And I think I'll offer the same procedure, which is we'll get input from John and the boards. I also want to add that there were existing violations on Miller, right, John?
Yes.
Of trees and shrubs and things that had to be removed. So we sort of implemented what you suggested, and those were cleared up before we even got to the tree count. But it is a beautiful, much improved space. I'm very, very happy about it. Has anyone seen it? The Miller property? Looking good, right? Okay. John, do you have anything else you want to say? Thank you very much for that lengthy but very informative presentation.
One final item is we have a filming request.
Yeah, we can do that in new business. I did list it in new business if you want. If you want to give it now, and then we can just take that into consideration when we get down into business, that's fine.
Sure. I received a call from Dana Nachman, who apparently is doing a Emily Post documentary. She would like permission to do some photography and some filming. I sent her a list of questions. I gave her a copy of the code as it relates to our requirements if someone is going to do some filming or taking photography. They're shooting an independent documentary about Emily Post and her legacy. We would like to showcase the village that her father built and watch all these generations later as her great grandson returns to the village to speak about her and her philosophy on etiquette. If approved, the list of properties they would like to visit: Emily's home, the church, and other notable buildings that Emily's father designed. Once again, she has been given the code, and I've stressed upon her that disturbing the peace and tranquility of the village is what we do not want to happen during this filming shoot. No large vehicles. The largest vehicle will be an SUV, and they plan on doing some of this work at the Tuxedo Club. There'll be no generators. There'll be no food trucks, and all the vehicles are pretty much personal cars and SUVs.
Any length of time?
No, 3 to 5 people max. She didn't give me a time.
Okay, so we can discuss that then in new business. Thank you, John. All right, public comments. I'd like to say a few things first. We've found that if you speak from your chair, we can't hear you on the tape. So we set up the podium again with the working mic. And please identify yourself. Please keep it to the 2 minutes. I'm going to start with the people here, and then I'm going to move to people on the Zoom call.
I'd like to suggest an amendment to the remarks of trustee Brooke. I wish he would amend it so that none of what he said applies to trees that are within 100 feet of any of the lakes. It's really important. And I can give you.
Just
a lot of data to show
clarifying
why
it.
that's important.
I'm just trying to clarify what you're suggesting. So if a person is allowed to cut down 4 trees today, there is no limitation on where those trees exist that they can cut down. They're limited to 4 trees. There's no requirement that it be within, 100 feet, more than 100 feet of the lake. Is that correct?
I suspect that's correct, but if it goes before the bar, they might well try and restrict that. In any case, my suggestion stands. I'm not taking back one word.
Yeah, that's fine. Noted.
I'm noting, I'm just trying to understand the issues. I remember there used to be trees along the causeway between the club and the lake, right?
Humphrey,
And you remember those trees were all cut down.
Peter Humphrey.
They looked great. They were all cut down, and every one of them was rotted to the core. Okay?
We're all rotted before we die.
Pardon me?
We're all rotted before we die. I'm 88. I'm going to die soon. Trees are the same way.
Merely,
This argument that trees aren't healthy is a slippery slope, a very slippery slope.
If I may
I don't
interject.
buy it for a minute.
All right, if I may interject. I know, and I'm very aware that this is an emotional issue, especially we've discovered that in the last few weeks. We're simply gathering information.
Okay, I'm just making a suggestion.
And I think the point really here regarding that is if somebody has a half acre and can take down 4 trees, what if somebody has 80 acres? You know, can they only take down the same 4 trees was one of the things that we're kicking around. But I'm going to be sure to involve everybody. This is not an urgent need. And if it takes 6 months, it takes 6 months. But it's the other one, though, I think we'd like to move forward with, which is the, determining what John can do to help alleviate a lot of the time and so forth that it takes to get a simple application through. And we chose that 100. That could change too. All right, thank you, Jim. All right, who else would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to move on to people in the Zoom call. Please raise your hand. Shuyin, I'll call on you first. I'm sure you're going to be mentioning something similar. Can you turn her mic on?
Deborah?
Yeah, I can bring her in.
Mhm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I can't start the video for some reason. So my apologies for not appearing on screen.
That is okay.
I don't have a comment at this stage. I just want to know whether the 2 proposals will be circulated in writing to the community in addition to the boards that you've mentioned just now.
Yeah, I mean, that really is built in to the cake because we have public hearings.
Good. And all I'm saying is that, Paul mentioned just now that it's a change of rule and not a change of legislation as far as the trees are concerned. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I heard that too. I'm not so sure that that's right.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either, but
Mhm.
I'd like to make sure that whatever are going to be the proposals are put in writing and circulated to the community. That's all I have to say.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else do we have?
Can we turn up the volume? I think that's the issue on this.
Turn it up.
Yeah.
Were you having trouble hearing?
Yeah,
Right.
we couldn't hear
Yeah,
anything.
it's quiet.
Speak
only 34.
up.
Okay, well, look, I'm a senior now too, so I empathize with you. Can we turn it up? Great. Okay. Do we have anyone else?
Doreen, hang on.
Pardon?
Is it Doreen Frega?
Okay,
Asking her to unmute.
sure. I don't see it.
Top left.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
I'm sorry, I was having also trouble with my video tonight. It must be one of those things. Anyway, I'm with Animal Protection League of New Jersey, and I wanted to comment on the proposed geese program.
Yes.
So our organization has been working with many different towns and counties to implement habitat modification, which is the #1 solution to permanently deter the geese non-lethally. And 33 towns have canceled lethal geese contracts. 78 towns will never use lethal, and 10 towns are moving to eliminate the USDA and goose technologies. Bergen County recently passed an ordinance to protect the geese permanently. So more and more towns are moving towards non-lethal. And we have many different cutting edge non-lethal solutions, such as riparian buffers, flight turf, robin radar, sonic neck, flock free, bird control, laser broadcast system. There's a lot of different cutting edge technologies. And we would love to come out and do a site visit, work with our architect designer who does all of the habitat modification, and find a great solution for you so that you do not need to use lethal regarding the geese.
Dorian, Mayor McFadden here. Do you consider egg addling lethal?
Well, there's different things about egg addling. It needs to be done correctly.
Mhm.
We don't promote it, but we do, like I said, work with an architect designer, and she is wonderful with riparian buffers and meadows, and it works. She's doing a different HOA programs in New Jersey, and they've been so successful that they hired phase 2. The geese are virtually gone. And the thing is, when you kill the geese, you have to, you'll continually renew these contracts. And our goal is to move the geese out of those areas, back up into the flyway, so that you will never have any geese. I mean, of course, there might be a few during the molt, but we have many, many non-lethal solutions that really, truly work. And we would love to come out. We would love to survey the area. We would like to bring her. We would like to give you all of these great technologies. Killing should be off the table. In this 21st century, lethal should not even be a thing that's thought about with the geese.
Okay, Dorian, it's a very
Yeah.
limited amount of time to speak. I appreciate what you're saying. In fact, we have hired, or in the process of hiring, several landscape architects to give us designs and recommendations on riparian barriers. That's a longer term solution, granted, but it's something that we feel strongly about. It's being encouraged by the bar, by the tree committee. And so it might be overlap if we were to do that with you, but I'd be happy to keep you involved in the loop.
Oh, that would be wonderful, because there are other technologies that could also be used, which are very successful.
Okay, terrific. I look forward to it. So can you send me your contact information? Where do you live, Dorian?
I'm in New Jersey.
Okay. Which part?
But I'm not, I'm about an hour away from Tuxedo Park.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, thank you for your input this evening.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Who else do we have? Oh God, a lot of people. Okay. Chuyin again?
Now we have Michelle. Well,
We'll have to go. Chuyin will be last. Oh,
I will be.
Chuyin, I'm gonna hold you off since you just spoke. And then after we'll get to you, but let me go to the other people first.
Sure.
Michelle Shanker.
Let's go with Michelle.
All right, just asking her to unmute. Michelle, you're on.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Thank you. I apologize. My video wasn't working either. I'm Michelle Shanker. I live in Greenwood Lake. Oh, here, maybe this will work. Oh, hi.
Yep.
I live in Greenwood Lake, New York. In 2018, my 10-year-old and I witnessed one of the USDA goose roundups on Greenwood Lake. I'm not an animal activist. I've never done anything like this before, but to be honest, it was horrible. And since then, I got involved. I did a lot of research. I put an editorial in the paper. I got a group together, and we started a commission that addles eggs and does landscape modification and works with people on the lake. And basically, we found other solutions to the lethal kills. 3 things about them. They're expensive. Good people can debate about whether or not they're humane, but personally, I don't think they are. And most importantly, they're ineffective. The geese just come back year after year. There's a group called Geese Peace that is a volunteer organization that we're associated with that has successfully lowered the goose population in tons of towns and cities all along the East Coast.
Do they use dogs?
We do use dogs, yes. And we also do egg addling. I've done it myself. We were a volunteer group. It's worked.
I'm familiar with them. Mhm.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm familiar with that group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's worked. I'm here to just say, please, the USDA, even though they're sort of like a government agency, they are on a profit. That they have salespeople that come out and try to sell these goose contracts.
Well, their claim is, Michelle,
Go ahead.
that we only cover costs of labor, but there are no markups of profit.
Even if that's true, they are in business. They're given X number of departation permits every year,
Mhm.
and they literally have salespeople going out and like selling their services. They have an interest in it, and as do a lot of the geese companies. All I'm asking is, please, if you're going to do research to people who have no financial interest in it, because what I found is they tend to not be pushing the killing so hard. There really are other solutions, and it's worked. I've personally addled eggs. You know, I get out in a kayak every year and I addle the eggs, and you can hire companies that will do that. I think even the USDA will do that, but they'll try to also say, oh, well, let's include a kill contract and you can decide last minute. I discourage doing that.
Okay, I'm gonna also have to respectfully cut you a little short because we have 2 minutes per person.
Okay.
We did, to your point, we hired an independent wildlife biologist for a company called Goose Control Technology in New Jersey. And they're not allowed or licensed to work in New York. And they made recommendations. And in that sense, we feel like we are getting a recommendation from someone that just doesn't make money doing it. But I understand your point. And if you'd like to send me information, your contact information, I'm happy to keep you in the loop and let you know what we're doing. And I thank you for coming in today.
Again, please consider not killing the geese. You don't want to be known as a town that can kill your wildlife when there's other options.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay, Arlene Steinberg. Arlene, are you still interested in speaking?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm not sure how to get the video on here either.
Get a message right now.
We'll send you a message, but there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep it brief. A couple of things. I've been working in this area since I discovered it a number of years ago. I'm what's called a waterfowl community liaison. I work with communities and get them to get away. The biggest problem is most town councils, board of trustees, HOAs, etc. The only places you know where to go for help are government agencies.
Arlene, do you mind stating where you're from, please?
I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I work with groups all over the country. The problem with the government is it has become a business. The USDA tends to send a very personal person out. They do essentially a halfway job and then whip out the kill contract. The kill contract is self-renewing every year. It is a business model guaranteed to provide long-term employment for wildlife services. It will do nothing to solve your goose problem. I was reading your information. In all honesty, you don't have a goose problem. You have a wildlife management issue that will be far better addressed by local wildlife organizations that have experience. The first, I can't stress often more that the lady who spoke to you, Doreen, at Animal Protection of New Jersey, one of the best landscaping plans in the entire country for goose management. The person that you are working with, the Goose Technologies, he is a killer. He has a terrible reputation among the goose management organizations.
Steve Toth?
Yes, terrible, terrible. He's killed in Spring Lake. He's killed, he kills. That is what he does. Drop him like a hot potato, please. Geese Peace has many different groups, but the one you want is the one where David Feld is the head. This guy will come out at no or minimal cost and do an assessment. He is one of the best in the business. None of these people take any kind of major money at all, not like the government, and they will actually get your problem under control. The other thing I want to mention is if you only do one or two methods of control, you will not have any success. Geese are not stupid animals. They are not survived for hundreds of thousands of years. You need to cobble together 3 or 4 methodologies and they will work. You have a ginormous lake with a maximum of maybe 200 geese, a large portion of which are migratory. You do not have a goose problem. This is normal wildlife, and not one of them will give any disease. Please
Arlene,
remember.
if I may.
Yeah.
We do have a sedentary geese problem.
Resident.
Thank you very much. Resident geese. I
And
appreciate.
that was created by the USDA, by the way. So
Are you familiar with our lakefronts?
I'm familiar from visuals. I haven't actually been out there.
Because we have 3 lakes
Right.
and miles of coastline, if you will. And
waterfowl will live there. You're never going to get rid of all.
they are, no, I'm just suggesting that the riparian barrier matter is a solid one. But we have a series of private landowners around these lakes. Some are not interested at all. It's not something I will personally mandate as mayor, because I'm not going to tell somebody they have to spend $25,000 or $30,000 landscaping on top of all the taxes they pay. So we also have to take into consideration the humane aspects of this, as well as the financial aspects.
Absolutely.
We are the fiduciaries of the village taxpayers. But I do appreciate your input.
I run my own condo, so I totally understand. But
that's harder than what I do. So Arlene, I hear you. We're gonna move on because of the 2-minute.
I respect that. I'm just saying, please reach out to Doreen and see what their group is outstanding.
And you'll follow up with that information for me?
I can do that. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Arlene.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So anyone else want to? Oh, Chu Yin.
We have Dawn Moore.
Thank you.
Who?
Dawn Moore.
All right. We'll go to Dawn next after Chu Yin.
Sorry, Gian.
You go? Oh, I go? Okay,
Hang on a
thanks.
second.
I just want to say that I'm very interested to hear non-residents, talking about complementary methods in geese control, in addition, besides culling and so on and so forth. I actually took the liberty of contacting the DEC, Wildlife Department, and I spoke with them and also their chief biologist. Long and short of it is that they did say that culling in the most humane way is very effective, but it's a short-term fix. It's instant gratification. And other geese will come back if we don't actually modify the habitat. And we're listening tonight to other people saying that. So I understand that in Tuxedo Park, there's a lot of sensitivity about sort of riparian buffers and the fact that we can't and should not mandate them. And I agree with you totally, Mayor, totally. But all I'm saying is that I hope we have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about all these alternative methods and then to communicate this information to the lakefront owners and then let them decide. I think it's important. And then I know, but I'm glad that tonight we have.
That's certainly a little challenging if half of them want to put in riparian barriers and the other half want to shoot them.
Well, actually, it's very interesting because we have 3 homes that have already put in riparian buffers of some ilk. And the interesting thing is the geese are not bothering them.
And there's some fences too. Yeah, no, you're right. The issue there is they are going to other people's homes.
I know. So but it's a free world.
It is. We had the same issue with the deer. You remember that, but I don't want to go into that now.
Sure.
At this meeting. All right. Thank you, Chu Yin. And do we have anyone else?
We do. We still have Dawn Moore waiting.
Dawn Moore, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, very softly though.
Okay, I'll try to talk a little louder. I hope I don't sound like I'm screaming.
That's perfect.
Okay, I reviewed your plan and I noticed that you're
Do you
missing.
mind introducing yourself and where you live?
Yes, I'm Dawn Moore and I'm in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. We just had a geese issue here and that's why I'm involved in the geese stuff. So I looked over your plan and I noticed that you're missing some important information.
Which plan?
The plan from Goose Control Technologies that's in your agenda.
That is not a plan. That is their presentation to us.
Oh, okay. Well,
we hired them for $500 at the last meeting. We decided to do that because we wanted to get the wildlife biologist opinion. And so that's been distributed to the trustees, but we haven't done anything with it at this point in time.
Okay, so they're missing some important information that maybe you guys have that you should give to them. The main thing is that they say that the water quality is an issue, and geese don't usually cause a water problem. So you would need to get actual water quality tests that show that there's harmful E. coli in the water along with goose DNA before you start killing the geese.
Are you referring to drinking water quality?
No, just the water quality in your waters, because in that report or in that recommendation, it said that water quality issues were one of the reasons for killing.
Right. We also have a lakes manager who recommended the same thing.
Okay, so just so long as you have those reports, where can we find those?
That one was posted in the last meeting, but if you send me your information, I'll be happy to send you the documents under FOIL. No, they're not, that's not under FOIL, is it? If it's, no FOIL necessary, sorry.
Okay, but that's a water quality test that you guys had done?
No, this is our lakes manager.
Okay, so what I'm just
making
trying to say,
recommendations to us.
right, what I'm trying to say is before you kill them, you really need to have actual evidence that they're the problem. The fact that there's, in that report, you guys told him that there's 100 to 200 geese during the fall migration, but only 15 to 20 birds were present when you guys went out there in July.
He meant 15
you're allowed
to 20.
to kill what they call,
He meant 15 to 20 birds per body of water. Right now, we don't have any because everyone's lawn is brown. They have flown the coop, maybe down to the Tuxedo Club golf course, but we have none right now. Our
Right,
lakes,
and probably
there's
a
been
lot
no
of
rain
them-
here.
a lot of those birds are migratory, and you're not actually allowed to kill migratory birds.
Right.
You're allowed to kill what they call resident birds. But in that report, you guys pretty much say that they're migratory birds, and you published that. So you're not going to be able to later say that you didn't know you were killing migratory birds, because killing migratory birds is actually illegal according to the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. And the penalties for doing that are up to $15,000 and 6 months in jail. And like I said, you've already said that they're migratory birds, so you're not going to be able to later say that you did not know. The recommendations in that paper that they gave you, actually a lot of them are good. I agree with the egg addling. I agree with the landscape modification. I just don't think that you should be killing the birds. It's mostly because it's not effective. Other birds are just going to come back and replace the ones you've killed.
All right, Dawn,
Your neighbors,
Dawn, we're going over the 2 minutes respectfully. We haven't even chosen, I mean, if we have 100 geese and control the eggs through addling, that might satisfy us. We're not saying that every goose has to be killed or removed. But that said, how did you find out about our little whole, town and village dealing with this issue? Why are you here this evening? And that's a question for everybody that's been out of state. How did you end up?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
How are you aware of our situation? In other words, what is responsible for you being here this evening? All right, so anyone else?
Mark and Michelle.
Okay, let's cut Don off because we've lost control. Let's get Mark. Right. Let's get Mark. Mark Citrin.
Good evening. Again, I have the same issue with the video. I actually would like to start my 2 minutes with one question directed to Trustee Brooks' proposal with respect to expanding the jurisdiction of the building inspector with respect to $100,000 or less renovations or changes in property. My concern and question is with respect to this particular proposal, how will the neighbors be notified, if at all, that these requests are being made to the building inspector that could range up to $100,000? Will the neighbors have any input into the proposal? by the applicant, or will it simply be the building inspector's discretion to either grant or deny the application or refer it to one of the boards?
That's a good question, Mark. We haven't actually gone that far.
Okay, then I'll wait for your determination in terms of a solid proposal. The second point I wanted to make involves the issue of the slaughter of the geese. I stated my position at the last meeting, and I don't have to repeat it. I do appreciate the fact that you got a study done by Mr. Toth. However, in my mind, in the village of Tuxedo Park, the killing of these geese, whether it's 1 or 200, is reprehensible. And contracting with the United States government to perform the killings doesn't make it any more acceptable. And for that reason alone, I'm opposed to it. With respect to egg addling, that's fine. With respect to all the other proposals, the riparian barriers, I think those are great ideas, but I think that the killing of wildlife is morally reprehensible, and I stand against it. Thank you for your time.
You're quite welcome. Do we have anyone else?
Only no, that's a repeat.
Okay. Michelle, is she
Michelle
already spoke? Okay, so, all right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate all of your input. And we're going to move on now down the agenda. We have a consent agenda. Now, Trustee Casker, did you want to ask several questions about the Armada?
Yeah, actually, can I make a comment real quick?
Yes,
There's
please.
nothing that's been talked about tonight. Just it's fire department related. And I know Chief's aware of this, and I know Jeff's aware of this. On July 31st, I think something good came out of something bad when the police responded, DPW responded to a family member named Harry, who was caught in a storm drain. And we had a great effort by the community, specifically the volunteer firefighters who from all 3 departments in the district, Sterling Forest, Eagle Valley, and Tuxedo Park, came. And what impressed me was the courage that one firefighter, particularly Lieutenant Bob Horniman, showed when he crawled 50 feet in to the storm drain to rescue Harry and pulled him out. And I talked to Bob about it afterwards.
With a rope, though, at least.
He had a rope tied to his ankle. He just wanted to go in and save that pet and prevent that family from any heartache, and also prevent the family from feeling the desire to go in after, which could have led to bigger issues. And I was impressed with that. The Tuxedo Park Fire Department gave him a merit award for that, and I think that it's worth mentioning at our village community. We have so many volunteers to do so many things.
Right.
That I think it's important.
Fantastic. Have you
to
considered calling the Times Herald record and to reenact that, or maybe a ceremonial giving of the ceremony to the guy?
Well,
reenact that.
We'll talk about, the fire department has their own things to do.
Oh,
Yep. Thanks.
they're on
That's
top of that already. Okay, great. Thank you.
That's a suggestion.
We appreciate that. Yeah, and I second that wholeheartedly. Okay, so Chris, did you have any questions about the
So the regatta.
Yeah.
Just the one thing I briefly talked to the attorney about this. We don't have a lot of details. So my question is just once we get a little bit more of the 5 Ws, that the attorney review them, make sure that there's no risk to the private roads and how it's going on. I'm sure it's fine. I just want to, I like that kind of.
What I do know now is that the Tuxedo Club is going to they'd like to host a regatta with crew boats. I don't know how many, 5, 6, whatever. And since those folks aren't members of the club or residents, they're coming to us for permission to use the lake. So the village wouldn't be involved in any way unless they requested support from the police, as far as I know now. And that's the extent of what I know. So I agree with you. Let's follow it up a little bit more. I think we can do the following. I think we can pass it with a yes, but that they have to follow certain codes or procedures given by the chief and John. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
we can generally cover it that way.
I'm fine with. I just don't even know what we're really giving them permission to do.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of
the permission
details.
really centers around the fact that they would be putting people on the water that aren't members of the club and aren't residents.
I get you. So like technically that
So
Unregistered
they have to
boats.
come to us.
Water or boats?
They're putting crew boats,
Right. So they
Like
have to
single-
be
single
following the
person.
rules.
single
Yeah.
hull, single hull.
Right.
Yeah,
They have to be steam cleaned?
yeah, well, that's under control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And John's very aware
That's
of that. We have a brand new steamer. The club's offered to use a steamer, but the point is, that's why they're asking permission.
Okay, I got you.
Sounds
Basically
great.
permission to put boats that aren't registered on the lake.
Oh, and that too. Right. That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So do any of the trustees have any questions about the consent agenda through G?
I have a quick question, if I may. About adding the changes to the July annual organizational meeting.
Yes.
So I just wanted to confirm, is that where it should go? Is that the right section?
I'll work with you on that after the
Okay,
meeting
That's fine.
because it goes in several.
Okay, okay.
It gets split up in several ways. It is posted here. It's adding the tree committee and members and liaison role, which Christopher Gow pointed out last meeting that we didn't include. So this will be included and it'll be in the minutes next month that we approve. Anybody have any questions about the minutes?
None for me.
Okay. Okay, so resolve that we approve consent agenda items A through G. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. Algae bloom treatment. Okay, so yesterday I received a permit that said that we wouldn't be able to treat for the algae until September. We have an urgent problem. Lakes manager agrees, Jeff agrees, and so forth. So we fast tracked it. They came in today and they did the main lake. I'm not sure if they did 100% of it or not, but that will start to get rid of the algae bloom. And there are 2 agreements that I am going to sign and send to them tonight with, unless there's objections from the board. I'll be able to include the changes. I already talked about the changes you suggested. And they didn't agree to the extension to 45 days. But like you said, there's no deal breaker. And there's a couple things they were fine with. So I'm going to modify those and send it back
Yeah, we just
today.
do that because you only meet once a month, so
Right,
their bill may not get paid.
that's it. Yeah. Well,
You
it'll,
crossed out the interest, so it doesn't really matter.
so any questions on that from the trustees?
None for me.
Do we support it?
Yep.
Okay. Resolution approving algae bloom treatment. May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution approving documentary on Emily Post. What's your recommendation, John? Yay or nay?
I just contacted her regarding a number of days. She estimates 2 days, but it would be on a Saturday and Sunday. I'd like to just confirm a few things with her, but I don't think there's any harm about that.
I think, I support it.
Mayor, you can just do the resolution subject to conditions imposed by the building inspector.
Subject to the codes managed by the building inspector. It resolved that the documentary on Emily Post has the authority to move forward. May I have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, next is the goose removal. Let's go around the horn. Anybody have any comments they want to make?
This is just approving humane, whatever, right? So
Yeah, we did.
do
Okay, so
the other-
since our last meeting, we hired a independent wildlife biologist that some people aren't that happy with, as we heard tonight, and that you've all read. We also did meet with the USDA, and they gave us a proposal. And I think as of now, there are no geese because there's nothing to feed on. All the lawns are brown. So, I mean, I'd be willing to table it till next month and gather some more information. I'm not committed to.
I don't think we need, I mean, what this says is a resolution approving humane nuisance geese removal for the spring. The
Mhm.
exact strategy is not clear. So the answer is we are approving going forward, and the strategy is to be determined, given all the information that's coming in.
I had intended to, and it's probably in the resolution, to do it with the USDA. So, but we can do something that specifically says we support doing it, if you'd like to do
I
that.
think we support doing it, and, you know,
I guess my question is why do we need to just have a vote of support? We know this is an issue. It's an issue we need to deal with. Based on what I heard tonight, it sounds like we should probably gather more information. So why don't we just gather more information, and when we have a strategy in place, we can just adopt it. I don't know what the rush is, to your point.
Well, I mean, we would just be making a declaration. I mean, that's pretty meaningless, right?
That's my point.
Yeah. All right, so, okay.
I'm
think-
happy to do it, Paul, if you feel.
no,
like it's
I'm not,
important.
all I'm saying
No,
is,
I
we don't know what, we are determining what the strategy is.
Right,
Correct.
And what we're saying is, when we determine a strategy, we can execute on it.
right.
And I'm just dealing with the fact that it's a resolution that shows up that doesn't say much, but it means
Right.
we're authorized to find somebody and execute on it. And I'm totally indifferent as to whether we do it, but it's gonna, you know, we're on printer saying we're gonna deal with the.
I think we can say that without a resolution. We can say we're on track to do it.
Okay,
Okay.
And we're going to research it and find out. Okay, so that's tabled. Let's see. Now, the resolution approving the examination of Justice Court documents, dockets and records by village account. Would you just explain briefly to everyone what that is?
Sure. Section 2019A of the Uniform Justice Court Act requires that town and village justices annually provide their court records and dockets to their respective village auditing board. And last week, Cooper Arias were here, and they looked through the records and they determined that everything was in order.
Okay,
And so that has to
we
be
need pass a resolution.
Yes, please, has to be examined, and this fact has to be entered into the minutes of the board's proceedings.
Okay, great.
It's not really a resolution,
Sure.
just that we acknowledge that.
All right, thank you. Resolution approving, be it resolved, the resolution approving examination of Justice Court dockets and records by village account Cooper Arias LLP. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, now, this next item has been focused around John, Elizabeth, and our budget director, Tinka. We're looking at taking out loans. We've educated ourselves. We have capital projects to do. And their simple question to us after all this back and forth is, how many years do we want to do the loan? And I thought we should involve everyone in this. You know, obviously, we want to lock in the best rate, 30 years. I think, you know, you want to lock in the number of years that you think the project will last in terms of its success, maintenance, that kind of thing. So I think you're suggesting, you and John are suggesting 30, is that correct?
Yeah, that's maximum that we're allowed with this loan. It's for the sewer SSES that we have been under an EFC loan. And then we will have to take it mostly by December, we'll have the numbers. So the EFC is now wants to know what the village chooses as the term of the long-term loan.
Josh, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, typically with infrastructure projects and financing them, you want to match the term that you're expecting that asset to last along with the financing. I looked at the cost of financing. The 30-year loan is slightly more expensive from an interest rate perspective, but not significantly. You clearly have lower payments, ongoing payments, which is a benefit. So I think the 30 years makes a ton of sense.
I got a question, which is there any penalty for early payment? I mean, what you'd like to do is have a long thing.
Or
and if-
refinancing?
And if we decide 10 years down the pipe, it's a much better deal presents itself, you'd like to be able to prepay it. So
I think it's
generally,
definitely
you'll have
a valid
a
question.
short period of time where you can't prepay it, but then we're free to prepay it thereafter. And it gives us flexibility going forward.
So I think we lock in the 30-year rate. Chris, do you have any comments?
How much is it for?
The loan?
Yeah.
375 because the other 25% of the project is grant. So we're technically borrowing 500, but it's 25% of the grant, so we're only borrowing
We're
375.
borrowing 500. A quarter of it is a grant. So we're paying for 3/4 of it, and the interest rate is
4.25 over 30
Yeah,
years.
how much?
4.25 for 30 years.
Yeah, that's where I would say, 4.25 for getting the grant. So maybe it's, 3 and change.
That's right, on an adjusted basis.
Pardon me?
On an adjusted basis.
On an adjusted basis.
Right.
But the answer is, that's why I think it's entirely possible, had we done this 18 months ago, we'd have a very different rate. And I'm just concerned that we have the flexibility if we go back to,
Right. I'm not
an
familiar with the
environment that we
structure
had.
of this type of loan, but
I won't
we'll
count
certainly
on it.
ask the question.
I'd like to lock it in, so we're okay if it goes up, but I'd also like the
Have to have
flexibility.
flexibility. I agree with you.
That's why I got these guys on the team. All right, so we'll go with the 30, and then we'll follow up with some of these questions and distribute them to everyone. Yep. I don't want to pass a resolution for that, just a discussion. Okay, O&R had a proposal that they sent our way, which includes changing all of our lights to LED and the potential savings there. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and so has John. Basically, we're kind of happy with what we have now. Putting in updated LED lights would be, everyone in the park is going to want to get involved in approving that or not. They don't want it shining in their window, this kind of thing. So, I mean, that's just my view, but I'm certainly open to other ideas. Did everyone get a chance to read it? There's a deadline in September. John, do you want to comment on it?
You know what, the only issue we've had is having Orange and Rockland change the bulbs, but if we provide them with the bulbs, they've been updating the bulbs that burn out. The last bulbs that we ordered were kind of an LED equivalent to the incandescent bulb. So we're hoping they last longer, so we don't have to have O&R change the bulbs.
So does this lock us into some sort of payment?
Is it the same tone? I mean, you have soft light and daylight, which are radically different in how they look.
Well, what I can tell you is the incandescent bulbs that have been used by O&R and we continued to use up until a couple months ago was a clear 100-watt bulb. So the bulbs that we gave them a few months ago were just a white, LED bulb. So there's less glare, if that's what we're getting at. And it was the closest equivalent that I could find. With the hopes that once again, they wouldn't have to change them as often. And our only expense really is the cost of the bulbs and the electric bill, which we would get, regardless.
I have no trouble moving to LED, a more efficient bulb. I do, having bought a bunch of bulbs, which turn out to be daylight bulbs versus soft light, they're pretty ugly. I got a lot of bulbs that I can now donate with. But the answer is, I would just make sure that the hue is.
I think if there is a notable change, someone will call the office.
So are we proposing the bulbs that you gave them recently to be replaced, to replace everything?
Not really. I guess as the bulbs go out, we'll give O&R,
I think if I could jump in, you may want to ask them to look at somewhere nearby that you can see the bulb, because to Trustee Brooks' concern, they sometimes are. If you've seen like bulbs you buy LEDs, there's 5000 K, which is like your surgery light in an emergency room, and then there's your 2500, which is kind of a warm soft light. And I've seen some of these in some places, and they are very white, bright light, which you may not.
Familiar with dark skies?
Yeah.
I know that over the years, there's a movement in the park for dark skies. And these bulbs certainly would contradict that. But how about I call this guy up and have him come meet me next week? You, Jeff, everybody that wants to join the meeting, and let's get a rundown, and including some neighborhoods that, as Brian suggests, because we have a deadline.
Yeah,
sure. All right.
Sounds great.
And if I have to call a special meeting, if we have the information, we'll do that. Okay. All right. Any budget transfers?
No,
Any approval of vouchers?
no.
We are going to move into executive session to discuss DPW staffing, certain employees, PBA MOA, and legal matters, and water bills. Thank you, water bills. Resolve that we leave the public session, enter executive session to discuss DPW staffing, certain employees, PBA, MOA, legal matters, and water bills. May I have a second?
Second.
And then we will be all in favor. And then we'll be coming back potentially.
And for people on Zoom, we'll put them in a waiting room and then bring them back.
People on Zoom that are interested in staying, we'll put you in a waiting room. Thank you very much for attending again. We appreciate it.
Both of those, please.
And Brian, you're gonna stop recording? Or someone else?
We'll pause it, I guess. Do you guys, you can pause it, John?